Hello dear friends, today we are going to start paper 7 of module 2 of CS Executive, Economic, Business and Commercial Laws. We'll first read the lesson-wise summary of Economic, Business and Commercial Law, Part 1 Foreign Exchange Management and NBFCs. Under that lesson 1 Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. The Reserve Bank of India was established on April 1st, 1935 in accordance with the provisions of the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. The purpose for which the Reserve Bank of India was established as India's central bank have been spelled out in the preamble to the Reserve Bank of India Act, which states as follows. 1. To regulate the issue of bank notes and the keeping of reserves with a view to securing monetary stability in India and generally to operate the currency and credit system of the country to its advantage, and 2. That it is essential to have a modern monetary policy framework to meet the challenge of an increasingly complex economy. The primary objective of the monetary policy is to maintain price stability while keeping in mind the objective of growth, and the monetary policy framework in India shall be operated by the Reserve Bank of India. The objective of the lesson is to introduce the students regarding origins of the Reserve Bank of India, banking functions, issue public notes, monetary policy functions, public debt functions, foreign exchange management, banking regulation and supervision of NBFCs, regulation and supervision of cooperative banks, regulation of derivatives and money market instruments, payment and settlement functions, consumer protection functions, and financial inclusions and development functions. Lesson 1 Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. Learning objectives. The Reserve Bank designs and implements the regulatory policy framework for both banking and non-banking financial institutions inter alia with the aim of providing people access to the banking system, protecting depositors' interests, and maintaining the overall health of the financial system. The rapid pace of growth achieved by financial system in the deregulated economy regime necessitated a deepening and widening of access to banking services. The new millennium has seen the Reserve Bank play an active role in balancing the relationship between the banks and the customers, focusing on financial inclusion, setting up an administrative machinery to handle customers' grievances, pursuing clean note policy, and ensuring development and oversight of secure and robust payment and settlement systems. The object of this study is to familiarize the students with the central banking functions and monetary policy of the Reserve Bank of India. The preamble to the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934 specifies its objective as to regulate the issue of bank notes and keeping of reserves with a view to securing monetary stability in India and generally to operate the currency and credit system of the country to its advantage. Introduction. The origin of the Reserve Bank of India can be traced back to the year 1926 when the Royal Commission on Indian Currency and Finance, also known as the Hilton-Young Commission, recommended the creation of a central bank for India to separate the function of control of currency and credit from the government and to augment banking facilities throughout the country. The Reserve Bank of India Act 1934 established the Reserve Bank and set in motion a series of reforms culminating in the start of its operations in the year 1935. Since then, the Reserve Bank's role and functions have undergone numerous changes with the changes in the nature of Indian economy and the financial sector. Starting as a private shareholders bank, the Reserve Bank was nationalized in 1949. It then assumed the responsibility to meet the aspirations of a newly independent country and its people. The Reserve Bank's nationalization aimed in achieving coordination between the policies of the government and those of the central bank. The preamble to the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, under which it was constituted, specifies its objective as to regularize the issue of banknotes and keeping of reserves with a view to securing monetary stability in India and generally to operate the currency and credit system of the country to its advantage. The objective outlined in the preamble hold good, as evidence from the multifaceted functions that the Reserve Bank performs today. Its role and priorities have changed in tandem with national priorities and global developments. Especially, the Reserve Bank has demonstrated dynamism and flexibility to meet the requirements of an evolving economy. A core function of the Reserve Bank in the past years has been the formulation and implementation of monetary policy with the objective of maintaining price stability and ensuring adequate flow of credits to productive sectors of the economy. To these was added in more recent times the goal of maintaining financial stability. The objective of maintaining financial stability has spanned its form from external account management to oversight of banking and non-banking financial institutions, as also of money, government securities and foreign exchange markets. The Reserve Bank designs and implements the regulatory policy framework for banking and non-banking financial institutions with the aim of providing people access to the banking system, protecting depositors' interest, and maintaining overall health of the financial system. Its functions of regulating the commercial banking sector, which emerged with the enactment of the Banking Regulation Act 1949, has over the time expanded to cover other entities. Thus, amendments to Banking Regulation Act 1949 brought cooperative banks and regional rural banks under the Reserve Bank's jurisdiction, while amendments to the Reserve Bank of India Act saw developments in the financial institution, non-banking financial companies and the primary dealers coming under its regulation, as these entities became important players in the financial system and the markets. Similarly, the global economic uncertainties during and after the Second World War warranted conservation of the scarce foreign exchange reserves by foreign intervention and allocation. Initially, the Reserve Bank carried out regulation of foreign exchange transactions under the Defence of India Rules 1939 and later under the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act of 1947. Over the years, as the economy matured, the role shifted from foreign exchange regulation to foreign exchange management. Post-independence, as the emerging nation tried to meet the aspirations of a large and diversified populace, the Reserve Bank, with its existence and expertise, was entrusted with a variety of developmental roles, particularly in the field of credit delivery. With the onset of economic planning in 1950-51, a Reserve Bank undertook a variety of developmental functions to encourage savings and capital formation and widen and deepen the agricultural and industrial credit setup. Institution building was a significant aspect of its role in the 60s and the 70s. The strategy for nearly 4 decades placed emphasis on the state-induced or state-supported developmental efforts. Subsequently, the role of financial sector and financial markets was also given an explicit recognition in the developmental strategy. The aftermath of the economic reforms introduced in the year 1991, balance of payments and foreign exchange crisis saw a paradigm shift in India's economic and financial policies. The approach under the reform era included a thrust towards liberalization, privatization, globalization, and concerted efforts at strengthening the existing and emerging institutions and marketing participants. The Reserve Bank adopted international best practices in areas such as prudential regulation, banking technology, variety of monetary policy instruments, external sector management, and currency management to make the new policy framework effective. The rapid pace of growth achieved by the financial system in deregulating regime necessitated a deepening and widening of access to banking services. The new millennium has seen the Reserve Bank play an active role in balancing the relationship between banks and customers, focusing on financial inclusion, setting up administrative machinery to handle customer grievances, pursuing clean note policy, and ensuring development and oversight of secure and robust payment and settlement systems. The last 2.5 decades have seen growing integration of national economy and financial system with the globalizing world, while rising global integration of Indian economy has shown its own advantage in terms of expanding the scope and scale of growth of the Indian economy. It also exposes India to global shocks. Hence, maintaining financial stability became an important mandate for the Reserve Bank. This in turn has brought forth the need for effective coordination and consultation with other regulators within the country and abroad. Origin of the Reserve Bank of India at a glance. 1926, the Royal Commerce of Indian Currency and Finance recommended creation of a centralized bank for India. 1927, a bill to give effect to the above recommendation was introduced in the Legislative Assembly but was later withdrawn due to lack of agreement among various sections of people. 1933, the White Paper on Indian Constitutional Reforms recommended the creation of a Reserve Bank. A fresh bill was introduced in the Legislative Assembly. 1934, the bill was passed and received the Governor General's assent. 1935, the Reserve Bank commenced operations as India Central Bank on April 1 as a private shareholders bank with a paid-up capital of Rs 5 crores and Rs 50 millions. 1942, the Reserve Bank ceased to be the currency issuing authority of Burma, now Myanmar. 1947, the Reserve Bank stopped acting as a banker to the government of Burma. 1948, the Reserve Bank stopped rendering central bank services to Pakistan. 1949, the Government of India nationalized the Reserve Bank under the Reserve Bank Act, that is Reserve Bank Transfer of Public Ownership Act 1948. Establishment and incorporation of Reserve Bank. Section 3 of the RBI Act states that a bank to be called the Reserve Bank of India shall be constituted for the purposes of taking over the management of the currency from the central government and of carrying on the business of banking in accordance with the provisions of the Act. Subsection 2 of this section provides that the bank shall be a body corporate by the name of Reserve Bank of India, having perpetual succession and a common seal, and shall by the said name sue and be sued. Organizational structure and management. The organizational structure of RBI can be classified under the following designations: Central Board of Directors, Governor, Deputy Governors, Executive Directors, Principal Chief General Manager, Chief General Managers, General Managers, Deputy General Managers, Assistant General Managers, Managers, Assistant Managers, and Support Staff. First, let us see about Central Board of Directors. The Central Board of Directors is at the top of the Reserve Bank's organizational structure. Appointed by the government under the provisions of Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, the Central Board has the primary authority and responsibility for the oversight of the function of Reserve Bank. It delegates specific functions to the local boards and various committees. The central government nominates 14 directors on the Central Board, including 1 director each from the 4 local boards. The other 10 directors represent different sectors of the economy such as agriculture, industry, trade, and professions. All these appointments are made for a period of 4 years. The government also nominates 1 government official as a director representing the government, who is usually the Finance Secretary to the Government of India and remains on the board during the pleasure of the central government. A director nominated holds the office for a period of 4 years and thereafter until his successor is nominated. This is given under subsection 4 of section 8. The Reserve Bank Governor and a maximum of 4 deputy governors are also ex officio directors on the central board. No act or proceeding of the board can be questioned on the ground merely of the existence of any vacancy in or any defect in the constitution of the board. This is given under subsection 5 of section 8. A retiring director shall be eligible for renomination. Subsection 7 of section 8. Local boards. The Reserve Bank also has 4 local boards constituted by the central government under the RBI Act, one each for the western, eastern, northern and southern areas of the country, which are located in Mumbai, Kolkata, New Delhi and Chennai. Each of these boards has 5 members appointed by the central government for a term of 4 years and thereafter until his successor is appointed. They are eligible for reappointment. Subsection 3 of section 9. The members of the local board shall elect from amongst themselves one person to be the chairman of the board. Subsection 2 of section 9. These boards represent territorial and economic interest of their respective areas and advise the central board on matters such as issues relating to local cooperative and indigenous banks. They also perform other functions that the central government may delegate to them. Subsection 1 of section 9. Offices and branches. The Reserve Bank has a network of offices and branches through which it discharges its responsibilities. The unit operates in 4 metros, Mumbai, Kolkata, Delhi and Chennai are known as offices, while the units located at other cities and towns are called branches. Currently, the Reserve Bank has its offices including branches at 27 locations in India. The offices and larger branches are headed by a senior officer of the rank of Chief General Manager, designated as Regional Director, while smaller branches are headed by a senior officer of the rank of General Manager. The Governor and the Deputy Governor. The Governor is the Reserve Bank's chief executive. The Governor supervises and directs the affairs and business of the RBI. The management team also includes Deputy Governor and Executive Directors. The Governor and Deputy Governors devote their whole time to the affairs of the bank and receive such salaries and allowances as may be determined by the Central Board with the approval of the central government. The Deputy Governor and the Director nominated may attend any meeting of the Central Board and take part in its deliberations, but shall not be entitled to vote. However, when the Governor is for any reason unable to attend any such meeting, a Deputy Governor authorized by him in this behalf in writing may vote for him at that meeting. The Governor and a Deputy Governor hold the office for such term not exceeding 5 years as the central government may fix when appointing them, and they are eligible for reappointment. Functions of the Reserve Bank. The statutes governing the establishment and mandates of central bank play a crucial role in determining their functions across the world. The RBI has been constituted under the Reserve Bank of India, RBI Act 1934. The legal backing for the functions of the RBI is not only confined to the provisions of the RBI Act but also spread over a number of statutes such as Banking Regulation Act 1949, Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999, Government Securities Act 2006, Payment and Settlement Act 2007, etc. The purposes for which Reserve Bank of India established as India Central Bank have been spelt out in the preamble to the RBI Act, which states as follows. 1. To regulate the issue of bank notes and the keeping of reserves with a view to securing monetary stability in India and generally to operate the currency and credit system of the country to its advantage, and 2. that it is essential to have a modern monetary policy framework to meet the challenge of an increasingly complex economy. The primary objective of the monetary policy is to maintain price stability while keeping in mind the objective of growth, and the monetary policy framework in India shall be operated by the Reserve Bank of India. The functions of the Reserve Bank of India can be summarized and enumerated as under: banking functions, issue banknotes, monetary policy functions, public debt functions, foreign exchange management, banking regulation and supervision, regulation and supervision of NBFCs, regulation and supervision of cooperative banks, regulation and derivatives and money market instruments, payment and settlement functions, consumer protection functions, financial inclusion and development functions. Banking functions. The general superintendence and direction of the affairs and business of RBI is entrusted to Central Board having nominees from the central government and directors appointed under Section 8 of the RBI Act. The board of RBI is headed by the governor and assisted by more than 4 deputy governors. The board exercises all powers and does all acts and things which may be exercised by the RBI. Section 17 of the RBI Act states that RBI may transact various businesses such as acceptance of deposits without good interest from central government and state governments, purchase, sale and rediscount of bills of exchange, short-term loans and advances to banks, annual contributions to National Rural Credit Funds, dealing in derivatives, purchase and sale of government securities, purchase and sale of shares of State Bank of India, National Housing Bank, Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, keeping of deposits with SBI for specific purposes, making and issue of banknotes, etc. Similarly, Section 18 facilitates the RBI to act as a lender of last resort, whereas Section 19 states the list of businesses which the RBI may not transact. This part, the provisions of RBI Act enables the RBI to act as banker to central government and state government. Under sections 20 and 21 of the RBI Act, the RBI shall have an obligation and right respectively to accept monies for account of central government and to make payments up to the amount standing to the credit of its account and to carry out its exchange, remittance and other banking operations, including the management of public debt of the Union. In the case of state governments, the said banking functions may be undertaken by way of an agreement between RBI and the state government concerned as provided in Section 21A of the RBI Act. These agreements made between the RBI and the state governments are statutory as they are required to be laid before the Parliament as soon as they are made. Issue functions. Right to issue banknotes is one of the key central banking functions of the RBI. Section 22 of RBI Act confers RBI with sole right to issue banknotes in India. The issue function of banknotes is performed by the issue department, which is separated and kept wholly distinct from banking department. The RBI Act enables the RBI to recommend to central government the denomination of banknotes, that is 2 rupees, 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 rupees, 1000 rupees, 500 rupees, 1000 rupees, 2000 rupees, 5000 rupees and 10,000 rupees or other denomination not exceeding 10,000 rupees. The design, form and material of banknotes is approved by central government on the recommendations of the Central Board of the RBI. Every banknote is a legal tender at any place in India. However, on recommendation of the Central Board, the central government may declare any series of banknotes of any denomination as not to be a legal tender. Another important function is exchange of mutilated or torn notes, which under the RBI Act is not a matter of right but a matter of grace. The banknotes that are being issued by RBI are exempt from payment of stamp duty. Monetary policy function. Chapter 3F of the RBI Act provides a statutory basis for monetary policy framework and the Monetary Policy Committee (MPC). The central government, in consultation with the RBI, shall determine the inflation target in terms of the consumer price index once in every 5 years, which needs to be notified in the official gazette. Similarly, it is the central government that should constitute a monetary policy committee by notification in the official gazette. The monetary policy committee consists of A. the governor of the RBI, B. Deputy Governor of the RBI in charge of monetary policy, C. One officer of the RBI to be nominated by the Central Board, and D. 3 persons to be appointed by the central government. The Monetary Policy Committee has been entrusted with the statutory duty to determine the policy rate required to achieve the inflation target. The decision of the Monetary Policy Committee is binding on the RBI, and the RBI is required to publish a document explaining the steps to be taken to implement the decisions of the Monetary Policy Committee. The meetings of the MPC are required to be held at least 4 times a year, and its decisions is to be published after each meeting. Public debt functions. The Parliament of India enacted the Government Securities Act 2006, that is the GS Act, with an objective to consolidate and amend the law relating to government securities and its management by the Reserve Bank of India. The GS Act applies to government securities created and issued by the central government or a state government. The GS Act prescribes the procedure and modalities to be followed by RBI in the management of public debt and also confers various powers on RBI, including the power to determine the title to a government security if there exists any doubt in the opinion of RBI. Further, Section 18 of the GS Act provides that no order made by RBI Act under this Act shall be called in question by any court for the reasons stated therein. I'll just repeat further. Section 18 of the GS Act provides that no order made by RBI under this Act shall be called in question by any court for the reasons stated therein. Prior to the enactment of GS Act, the said public debt functions of the RBI have been governed under the provisions of Public Debt Act 1944. However, the enactment of the GS Act has not fully repealed the Public Debt Act 1944. This is evident from Section 31 of the Act, which states that the Public Debt Act 1944 shall cease to apply to the government securities to which this Act, that is the GS Act, applies. Foreign exchange management. The powers and responsibilities with respect to external trades and payments, development and maintenance of foreign exchange markets in India have been conferred on RBI under the provisions of Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999, that is FEMA. Section 10 of the FEMA empowers the RBI to authorize any person to be known as authorized person to deal in foreign exchange or in foreign securities as an authorized dealer, money exchange or offshore banking unit, or in any other manner as it deems fit. Similarly, FEMA empowers the RBI to revoke an authorization issued to an authorized dealer in public interest, or if the authorized person has failed to comply with the conditions subject to which the authorization was granted or has contravened any of the provisions of the FEMA or any rule, regulation, notification, direction or order issued by the RBI. However, the revocation of an authorization may be done by the RBI after following the prescribed procedure in FEMA or the regulations made thereunder. Section 13 of the FEMA details out the contraventions and penalties, and the RBI has been empowered to compound such contraventions under Section 15 of the FEMA. Banking regulation and supervision. The power to regulate and supervise banks has been provided to RBI under the provisions of Banking Regulation Act 1949, that is the BR Act 1949. Although the preamble to the BR Act 1949 states that it is an act to consolidate and amend the laws relating to banking, the powers of RBI to formulate banking policy, regulate banking business, protect the interest of banking companies, supervision of banking companies, etc. are spread across the provisions of BR Act 1949. Firstly, Section 5 CA of the BR Act 1949 states that the banking policy means any policy which is specified from time to time by the RBI in the interest of banking system or in the interest of monetary stability or sound economic growth, having due regard to the interests of the depositors, the volume of deposits and other resources of the bank, and the need for equitable allocation and efficient use of these deposits and resources. Secondly, as a part of RBI's regulatory power, Section 10BB of the BR Act 1949 empowers RBI to appoint a chairman or managing director of a banking company for the reasons stated therein. Similarly, as a part of a control over management, Section 36AB of BR Act 1949 provides for power to appoint additional directors on the board of banking companies. Not only the powers to appoint managerial persons, but also the power to remove them are vested with the RBI under Section 36AA of the BR Act 1949. Moreover, the RBI has been empowered to supersede the board of banking companies. Though the business of banking is within the domain of a banking company, the power to control advances by banking companies is also provided to RBI under Section 21 of the BR Act 1949. Similarly, Section 22 of the BR Act 1949 confers on RBI the power to issue license and to cancel licenses of banking companies. Another important regulatory power that has been vested with the RBI is to issue directions to banking companies. Under Section 35A of BR Act 1949, RBI has the power to issue directions to banking companies in the public interest or in the interest of banking policies or to prevent the affairs of any banking company being conducted in a manner detrimental to the interest of the depositors or in a manner prejudicial to the interest of banking company or to secure the proper management of any banking company. In this regard, it may be worthwhile to note the observations of the Honorable Supreme Court of India in the case of Joseph Kurvilla versus Reserve Bank of India, that in view of history of establishment of the Reserve Bank as a central bank for India, its position as a banker's bank, its control over the banking companies and banking in India, its position as an issuing bank, its power to license the banking companies and cancel their license, and the numerous other powers, it is unanswerable that between the court and the Reserve Bank, the momentous decision to wind up a tottering or unsafe banking company in the interest of the depositors may reasonably be left to the Reserve Bank. The provisions of the Banking Regulation Amendment Act 2017 provides for dealing with cases relating to stressed assets. Stressed assets are loans where the borrower has defaulted in repayment or where the loan has been restructured, etc. In terms of Section 35AA and 35AB of the BR Act 1949, the RBI has been specifically authorized to issue directions to banking companies for resolution of stressed assets. As a part of the supervisory power, the RBI has been empowered to inspect banking companies on its own or at the instance of the central government under the provisions of the BR Act 1949. Insofar as the regulatory and supervisory powers of the RBI over the public sector banks, including the State Bank of India and the regional rural banks, are concerned, in addition to the provisions available in the respective special acts, the provisions as stated in Section 51 of the BR Act shall also be applicable. Thus, an overall responsibility to find out the well-being of a banking company in improving monetary stability and economic growth, as well as keeping in view of the interest of the depositors, has been left with the Reserve Bank of India. Regulation and supervision of NBFCs. The regulation and supervision of non-banking financial companies is one of the critical functions that the RBI has been entrusted with. Section 45(1)(a) of RBI Act mandates every non-banking financial company to obtain a certificate of registration from the RBI and to maintain net owned funds as may be specified by the RBI in the official gazette before commencing such non-banking financial business. Further, as part of regulation and supervision of non-banking financial companies, the RBI has been conferred with the statutory powers to regulate or prohibit issue of prospectus or advertisements soliciting deposits of money by non-banking financial companies, power to determine policy and issue directions to non-banking financial companies, etc. Further, the RBI has been empowered under Section 45L of the RBI Act to call for information and issue directions to NBFCs for the reasons stated therein. As a part of the supervisory control over the non-banking financial companies, the RBI has power to inspect them under Section 45N of the RBI Act 1934. The RBI shall exercise all these powers in the public interest or to regulate the financial systems of the country to its advantage or to prevent the affairs of any non-banking financial company being conducted in a manner detrimental to the interest of the depositors or in a manner prejudicial to the interest of the interest of the non-banking company. This makes it clear that the power of RBI to regulate and supervise banking companies emanates from the provisions of the BR Act, whereas the powers to regulate and supervise non-banking financial companies has to source from the RBI Act. With this, we come to the end of this audiobook. We have covered chapter 1 till page 9. In the next audiobook, we will be starting from regulation and supervision of cooperative banks. Thank you. Stay safe.